Okay, so everything today is about AI, right? Neural networks, huge language models. You'd think the best search tech out there is brand new. But what if I told you that a real king of search is actually a 30-year-old veteran? Let's get into it.
Just take a second to really let that quote sink in. Zero training, zero fine-tuning, and yet this is the engine behind systems we all use every single day. Yeah, this thing isn't gathering dust on a shelf somewhere. It's a total workhorse, still at the top of its game.
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? In an industry that basically reinvents itself every few months, how has this old-school method not only stuck around, but actually stayed on top? Well, the answer is surprisingly simple, and kind of beautiful, actually. So, the magic here, and this thing is called BM25, by the way. It's not some crazy complex neural network. Nope. It all just boils down to asking 3 really smart questions every time it looks at a document. All right, so what is this BM25 thing anyway? Think of it like a scoring system. It looks at what you searched for and then just ranks all the possible documents based on how relevant it thinks they are. But here's the kicker. It's not just dumbly counting keywords. It's counting them in a very clever way. Let's use a great analogy from the source material. Imagine BM25 is like the world's smartest, fastest librarian. You walk up and say you're looking for a paper on the transformer attention mechanism. Now, a regular librarian might just look for those words, but this librarian, it actually thinks about how important each of those words is.
So, to find exactly what you need, our little librarian algorithm asks itself just 3 basic questions. Let's break them down.
First question, how rare is the word? I mean, think about it. Words like the or is, they're everywhere. Totally useless for a search, right? They're just noise. But a word like transformer, now that's specific. That's meaty. BM25 knows this, so it gives a huge boost to those rare, important words. Okay, next up. How many times does the word show up? So if a paper mentions attention 10 times, that's a pretty good sign it's relevant, right? For sure. But BM25 is smart. It knows there's a limit. A paper that mentions it 100 times isn't automatically 10 times better. The algorithm has this built-in idea of diminishing returns. After a certain point, just piling on more mentions doesn't really move the needle on the score. So clever. And the last question is all about length. I mean, it makes sense, right? A massive 50-page paper is going to have way more chances to drop keywords than a super focused 5-page article. To stop the long documents from basically gaming the system, BM25 normalizes everything for length. It levels the playing field so that short, super relevant article can absolutely go head-to-head with a long one. It's all about fairness.
Okay, so BM25 is an absolute genius at matching keywords. But it's the 21st century. What about understanding meaning, context? That's where the new kid on the block comes in, vector search. Let's put them side by side.
And this really lays it all out. BM25 is your precision tool. If you're searching for something super specific, like error code 5102, you want the document that has exactly that phrase. No guesswork. That's BM25's home turf. Vector search, though, that's all about understanding the vibe, the meaning. It uses AI to get the concepts. So if you search for database access problems, it's smart enough to know you might be interested in stuff about connection timeouts or login failures, even if your exact words aren't there.
So is this a showdown? The old school versus the new school? The keyword king versus the meaning machine? Well, no, not at all, actually. The real magic happens when you realize they aren't enemies. And here it is, the big reveal. The smartest search systems today, they don't make you choose. They use both. They take the best of both of these worlds and smash them together to create something way better.
This is what we call hybrid search. And what it means is that one user can search for a very specific product number and get a perfect, exact match from BM25, while another person can search for something broad, like boots for cold weather, and get conceptually related results from vector search, all from the same system. You get that surgical precision when you need it and that deep contextual understanding when you don't. The result is just a smarter, more reliable search experience than either one could ever be on its own.
So what's the big lesson here? What do we take away from all this? It's actually a really powerful lesson about innovation. Sometimes the best way forward isn't about just tossing out the old stuff for the new. It's about finding clever ways to make them work together.
This quote from the source material just nails it.
In a time when it feels like we're supposed to throw huge, expensive GPUs at every single problem, BM25 is this great reminder to be smart and practical. It's fast, it's cheap, and it's incredibly reliable. It proves that the best solution isn't always the most complicated one. Sometimes it's the perfect tool all by itself. Or it's the secret sauce that makes your fancy new AI even better.
And that kind of leaves us with a really cool question to think about, doesn't it? The story of BM25 shows how these fundamental, simple ideas can stay incredibly powerful for decades. It really makes you wonder, what other old tech is just sitting there, hiding in plain sight that we're underestimating in this age of AI? What's the next combination that's going to create a breakthrough?